Okay. Hmm. All right, so this is chapter 2, understanding educational technology issues and trends, and there are a lot of them that have to do with schools, parents, teachers, kids, the whole ball of wax. So we're going to look at your receptiveness to innovation and your readiness to become a technology using teacher, because teachers are going to be, you're going to be using technology. So, and we'll get into why it's probably not going to be a huge problem for you guys. Discuss reasons to engage students in using technology, analyze the barriers that teachers, students, stakeholders, parents have, different patterns, evaluate how technology supports different teaching philosophies and instructional methods, compare how students use technology in their daily lives and in schools, and then we have these focus questions. How would you classify your interest in technology and teaching, and what motivates you? What impedes your use of technology and teaching? So those are stuff you need to think about. How often do you plan or use the following technologies in teaching? And are you, how likely are you to use the following teaching methods immediately in the classroom, and how are students using technology for learning out of school? So there's a lot here, but this describes, this is from research done by a guy named Rogers, which we'll look at here in a second. But, you know, how do you classify yourself? As a developer, innovator, early adapter, quick to follow proven success, which means, you know, you're going to wait around to see if something's successful before you stick your feet in the water, so forth and so on. Are you a cautious observer, skeptical observer, don't pay any attention at all, see very little promise in anything? So this is like a famous kind of graph here, to where over time, when something happens, the innovators are making it happen and are above board or on board with it, but it's a very small percentage. Okay, but as time passes, then the early adopters jump on it. You know, it's like games. You know, you're the first one to go get the new, you know, Call of Duty or whatever. You know, you're the one waiting at the door for the game store to open. You know, that type of thing. Then you get an early majority that comes out. Then the late majority, which is, you know, early majority and late majority are both pretty high. And then the diehards are also called laggards, who don't really care about it at all that much, and may get into it, may not get into it. So that, you know, technology over time, you know, it's very small with the innovation part. Okay, it's really the early adapters and early majority and late majority, or late majority and early majority. So this the Rogers innovation curve. A small number of innovators and early adapters, a sizable majority, will adopt to new practices sooner or later. A small number of individuals avoiding or resisting change, because we hate change. You know, it's inherent in most humans. We hate change. We don't. You know, we like to be in our comfort zones. We like to not have to worry about figuring out something new all the time. But some people do, and they're the innovators and early adapters. So this is Rogers' thing about a chasm, the digitization big data chasm. So, you know, what is the hype? Is it real? How to tell the difference? So, you know, these early adapters and innovators, they don't worry about the hype. In fact, sometimes they cause the hype. You know, so then you can see the early majority, late majority, and laggards. Okay, so. So we want everyone to be on board. We want everybody to be technologically equal, but it's not that easy to do. So we do have these programs out there that have ability for powerful low-cost devices, increased requirement for encouragement of students to use their own laptop or tablet, particularly in secondary and higher education. And they're showing studies that this stuff works. So, this is just a graph of households with high-speed internet subscription at home by income. So people that earn more than $150,000 a year are up there, where less than 25,000's less than 50% they have internet in their house. Okay, so we have stuff out there. Back in the day they had the Obama phone. Remember that? Everybody got the Obama phone. Well, there was no Obama phone. There was that started in the Reagan administration to have everybody have access to 911 in their homes. And it, blossomed into people getting free cell phones, but it happened in the Bush administration, Clinton administration, Obama administration, And how's that paid for, do you think? Taxes? What particular tax do you think? Your phone. You got AT&T, Verizon, whatever. You're paying a tax.
A 911 tax, a city tax.
But you're also paying another tax to give stuff. They also cable companies like Xfinity. If you can show them that you're under this poverty level. If you're under this income level, they will give you free internet. They'll give you free computer. There's a lot of programs out there. Here at FAMU, I helped write a $1.4 million grant to get the Public Computing Center, which is down at MS Thomas. If you don't know where that is, that's in between the parking lot and the power plant. It's right across the street from the new building going up, the little dinky building. Okay, but there's a public computing center in there open to all people in Leon County. Yeah, and it's open to students, and you can go down there, you can print up to 5 pages a day. So you need to go down there if you need to do some quick printing. But we have programs down there for seniors. We call it Senior Surfers, to get them online so they're able to connect with their kids and grandkids and so forth. You can get certified down there in Microsoft Office, all kinds of Photoshop, all the Adobe Suite stuff, HP. You get certified down there. You can train down there for free. You got to pay for your test though to get certified. So there's a lot of stuff down there. You need to check it out. Okay. Bring your own device. Okay, so this is a big thing in school nowadays. Students bring their own technology to learning. Low-cost rental purchase options are available. So that's, you can get free phones now pretty much all the time. When I do my driving, I see spots from time to time, particularly in low-income neighborhoods. There's a booth, and there's get your phone, and they're giving people phones, The bring your own device technology programs may leave low-income students unable to access the latest, most powerful devices, so that can be problematic. The advantages are it's convenient for the teacher, the accessibility's there, the students have familiarity with it, it's cost effective, it's not costing the school anything to have these devices. Come on, man. Okay. Task ownership, so students are really taking ownership of their learning because they're learning it on their own device type of thing. It engages learners more because they're using their own stuff. And it's easier for teachers not to have to fool around with passing out a bunch of tablets or not having anything at all. The disadvantages are tech issues. It can be problematic to have everybody on the same page doing the same thing. Device issues, this LG may not work with something I'm doing on the phone. There might be an app I'm using here that's not available in the Google store, or vice versa, things like that. And it can be a distraction because you're literally putting a phone in a child's hand, and guess what? They may not be doing what they should be doing. They may be texting their friends or fooling around doing stuff they shouldn't do. So it's got its advantages and different disadvantages. The Pew is a research foundation. Some of you may have heard of it, Pew Research Foundation, that conducts a lot of studies. And they did one, the American Life Project, and you used to be able to take it. They stopped doing it. They did it in 2009, and they really need to update it. But it really was like a little test you took that described how you are with technology, your use of technology. So they had all these categories: digital collaborator, ambivalent networker, media mover, roving node, desktop veteran, drifting surfer, information encumbered, mobile newbie, and technology indifferent. So what do you see yourself as in there? Just by the, I know it's what's a roving node? I understand, but of the ones you think you might understand, what do you think?
Probably desktop veterans.
Okay.
Media mover.
Okay. You back? Okay. So, you would, as a teacher, where you lead, follow, or stay behind the innovation curve, So I'm hoping you're all going to be innovators and wanting to stay on top of things. There is a link here that you can press to Pew that has a lot of other different stuff in here I put in here. You're not required to look at it, but it's interesting reading if you're going to be a teacher. It's got a lot of stuff on here. So check that out. Developing lessons and engaging students. Well, it's kind of hard to do, particularly with the standards that we're all tied down to in schools. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we look at technology as a really good way to motivate students. What student, when you were in high school, wouldn't you love to have your phone and be, doing stuff on your phone while you're learning? Of course you would. Would you be, he's smiling. Would you be doing it though? That's the question. Or would you be doing something else? So, more and more students are disengaged and alienated from schools. They're bored in class, doing homework or prep for class, and group projects and lessons incorporating technology are the most academically engaging. However, group projects may not be. What's the problem with group projects? Not everyone contributes, and you're the one that has to do all the work, because you're go-getters. You're the go-getters, and you don't want to be the person that the teacher or professor is saying, "Hey, why aren't you holding your your weight? Why aren't you pulling your weight?" So you're going to do what you need to do, but not everybody does that. So there's all kinds of cool stuff that we can do. I love this video here where they're putting up the code, the QPC code, and the kids just pop on it and they go right to where the teacher wants them to go and all that stuff. And what's this called again?
Word cloud.
Word cloud, right? You're going to be making one, both you and the online class. You'll be making a word cloud as we go down the road. So technologies affect two central aspects of teachers, and that's obviously the working directly with students, discussion, preparation, projects, but also the administrative stuff. Planning, organizing, record keeping, grading, correspondence with parents, and so forth. So there's a lot of stuff we do, but we have two main things that we do. So, Blackboard, Blackboard's kind of both, because we're using it to do stuff with the students. We can have discussion boards on there. We can use it to present in an online environment. We can, they can turn in projects. They can do the wiki. We can do all this stuff with Blackboard, but we also can use Blackboard for professional activities, grading, correspondence, and reporting. And I put that F up there because guess what? I don't care if you're using technology or not, an F's an F, You get an F just as easy in using technology as you can without it. So that's something to think about. Using technology to enhance teaching, again, most teachers, including recent graduates, are familiar with administrative tools such as email, correspondence, and record keeping. We get that. But interactive technology and 21st century skills may be less familiar and harder to integrate into teaching and learning. So you're going to be reading more about linear versus nonlinear technology, but we are getting way more out of the linear, which would be the old way. That's just one direction. So that's like books, pre-recorded video cassettes, pre-recorded DVDs, where you really don't have a whole lot of movement with them. You throw the video cassette in, you're gonna get forward and reverse. So that's about it. Pause. Non-linear is all the stuff we do now. We can do video on demand and all this stuff, video games, clicking through a website, social media, all that. So we used to use, how many, when you were in school, like when I was in school, man, when the teacher come in with and we had like film, so we didn't even have video cassette. We had like a film projector with actual film. But they would come in with that, and we just like, oh man, sweet, because we're gonna be watching something. Mm-hmm. We're not gonna be having to listen to the teacher or any of that stuff. It's cool stuff. But now it's just passe. It's old hat. Huh?
Oh, they said bless you.
Oh, okay. No problem. E-books, readers, all that stuff. We talked about that. How many of you got the book? How many did you get online? Okay, so you're e-reading it, right? In a way or another. Okay, I'm going to show you why you're going to need to get the book, like this week, guys. For those that didn't raise their hand, and those online that haven't done it either. Okay. So there's barriers to technology use, lack of access. We talked about that in the homes, but also in the classroom. Some schools don't have the money to pay for a lot of stuff, even though there's money out there, and we'll talk about that. Are the periods too short? Periods are 50 minutes long. How much technology can you do in 50 minutes? Use to help you. Okay?
That's why they started block scheduling.
Right, so they have 2-3 hours instead of 50 minutes, right? So block scheduling, right? So curriculum requirements. Is there too much pressure to cover a specific curriculum and teachers are teaching for the test and not integrating technology as much? And also I want you guys to understand from the get-go is we don't use technology for technology's sake. We're not using technology just because it's there and convenient. We write our lesson plans, we figure out our curriculum, and we do all this stuff, and we get that lesson down of what content we want to impart to the students. Then we look to see if technology can help enhance it, right? So technology is not the be-all, end-all of everything. But I put this graphic down here because we spend a lot of money for technology. You're going to have to look at this, but This is from Broward County for last year, okay? And this technology related, instruction related technology, they spent over $1 million, or $8 million.
That is impossible.
No, it's not.
I'm a Broward County student. We do not have that much stuff.
Okay, but we're not talking about just your school. Broward County has a ton of schools. I mean, they've got probably what, 35 elementary
Yeah.
schools and, 25 middle schools and so forth. So that's what they spend. Where's the other end? Administrative technology, just that. They spend more on that. 14, okay? So there's a lot of money.
Where's this money coming from?
Okay, that's a great question. You ask where does money come from? Well, it comes from the state,
Where they getting it from?
the federal government.
Ain't
No.
it?
No, they're getting it from taxes. Okay, but there's a, and that's a good question because, how are they collecting the taxes? I mean, you get state tax, anytime you buy something, you're doing a state tax, right? So and also like local taxes, your home, so forth, you're paying taxes on your home and all that stuff. But how do we know that these schools are using technology the right way? Well, there's standards out there, okay? We've heard of standards before, Common Core standards and all this stuff, which we'll talk about in a minute. The state looks at how schools are using technology, well, and I'm going to show you this here in a second. Maybe it's the next one.
What does it mean by board?
By what?
By board, it says board, like funding thing, it says board. Like right under it. Administration.
Oh, I would say that's the board, their local board of education. And they spend, those people make money.
7 of them.
You see all the signs out at election time, vote for me for Board of Education. They get a little money for that.
It's just split between all 7, basically.
Yeah.
I hate the one that signed mine.
So look, this is a standard matrix for grade 5. You don't have to know all this stuff. This isn't even in your book, but I want you to understand this because technology costs money, but this is grade 5, Florida Department of Education, and they look to see, are these standards being met? Is the visual multimedia elements being met? Are the printing digital sources being met? Are the illustrations of multimedia being met? Are they using some type of technology to get these standards across? Okay, and they have to show that they are doing this. And if they are not doing it, their technology funding could go significantly down the next year. It all has to do with their ABCD school, all this, you've heard of all that stuff. All this stuff is intertwined with that money. So,
I always wondered, like, why do they give the D schools less money than they give the A schools? Or why would they give the school that already has all the stuff they need more money than the school that needs money to become an A school?
well, that has to do with the have and have-nots.
So if you reward the winner, gets the trophy, right?
Well, yeah. When you get D school situations and consistently, then the state steps in to get them up. There's the issue of have and have-nots, and it's always going to be there. And your taxes that we talk about, each student in Leon County is supposed to get, on average, $8,000 per student a year from the state. However, at Childs, they're up in the rich part of town, they get 10 grand. Why over here at Rickards, they get 6. Why is that? Property taxes. Property taxes are less down here than they are up there. It's just the way it is. It's been a problem forever. It's been a problem ever since, my days, but before my days. That's just the way they do it. So there is the have and have-nots, but the state's trying to do things like say, look, if you're meeting these standards, you're going to get some technology money from us, basically. Technology skills. Is the teacher comfortable with technology? Well, that's an issue. Okay. Does the school have technological leadership? Do they have a media specialist? Do they have a person in there that fixes the internet and fixes things? Is there stuff in the actual classroom? Are things uniform, or do I have a Dell, a Mac, Tandy 5000 or something? What do I have in my classroom? Okay. Does a teacher personally respect technology? That's kind of a weird question, right? But some people don't. They don't. So I put this little cartoon up there. You never got the hang of that new technology, did you, Mrs. Faberge? So she's freaking out with all this stuff. The digital divide, we talked, again, it's not all distributed evenly through society or school. And it creates the digital divide and the participation gaps, and it affects mainly low-income, non-white, rural students. Okay. And I'm not sure why they just said rural, because what's the difference between rural and urban?
Urban and city.
Urban's in the city, so rural would be what? Not in the city, right? So we're talking Gadsden County and those types of places where you're a little bit more out there. So technology access exists among the spectrum of experience known as the digital continuum. Okay, we're continuing. So that's the gap, and the little kid's Mac is all she's got is pencils and paper, where everybody else is using the stuff, using the digital stuff. So, the government is trying to, and they're actually being more successful with, relieving that gap. So, but that digital divide and the gap can also lead to an achievement gap. So STEM students interested in STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, may be influenced by the teacher's use of technology. What's the teacher doing? But overcoming the barriers preventing students from learning is central to the teacher's job. So it's really up to you as a teacher to fight, do what you can, get grants. You can write grants, you can do whatever you need to do to get this stuff in there for your kids. The FAMU DRS Middle School, 3 years ago. I have this robotics competition here every year. It's going to be coming up here in February, and it's last year was down at the Al Lawson Center. It was really nice and cool, and we had teams from all over. We had teams from Orlando all the way from Marianna, rural, South Georgia. We had like 17, 18 teams. Okay, but 3 years, and one of them was the DRS last year. But 3 years ago, the DRS didn't have any of this stuff. They couldn't afford to buy it. So I got 4 kits. I got the dean to pay for one at the time, and I got the provost's office to pay for one. I got the head of research to pay for 2. And they're like $1,500 for these kits, right? So I gave one to DRS, I gave one to NIMS, I gave one to Fairview, and I gave one to Griffin. Okay, these are really low income area schools and so forth and so on. Well, Griffin and the DRS participated. NIMS and Fairview did not have time to have anybody help kids get this thing started. So we ended up taking theirs away from them and giving them the Rickards. Okay. My point is, these kids, they only had a month and a half at the DRS to get a team together, get the thing going. They went to it's a regional competition. They were first place. Okay, they got first place and they went to the state championships down in Tampa. Okay, so my point is, technology is not always computers. It's not always devices like this. Technology can be robotics, can be microscopes, can be all this stuff. And if we give students a chance, man, they will soak it in and learn it. And that's proof for me anyway. But these kids, when they get something, they'll jump on it. These kids, but you need good leadership. They had an exceptional teacher helping them. Okay. Teacher attitudes toward technology are changing. Until recently, all the teachers used this stuff for was emails or record keeping or writing letters and stuff like that. Now we're just using. Remember last chapter, the push-pull thing. Okay, that and the teacher networks and stuff like that. They're really working this technology to their advantage, particularly young ones. Teachers still express concern that students are naive consumers of online content and are easily distracted by technology. So, that's why I say, this shouldn't be in schools until we know how to harness it correctly. So we're using these. Most students are either on their messaging, or they're in Snapchat or Instagram or Spotify or whatever, and how do we know what scam's coming up? There's so much information out there now. How do we know it's even true? What's a reliable source? Okay. Oh, dang, that picture shouldn't be there. So, behind that, how many of you did your assignment? Okay, did you see Larry Cuban was one of the people talking about that? He's saying technology's overused and undersold. Well, he said that in 2001, okay? Oh, man, can't believe that's there. So, back then, we didn't use technology that much. We used it for drill and practice. We used it for just word processing and looking at information. We didn't really do much with it. So I put these graphics up because, these kids that are in these classrooms, and I'll fix this on the actual one. Is that the same on yours? Yeah. So